Hi all, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a quick little wrap up of the books that I read in December. I wanted to apologize also for being a little bit low energy and kind of tired looking. I am currently having really bad cramps, but I wanted to put a video out this week anyway, so I am pushing through, taking my Tylenol, trying to get through it, you know? So honestly, December was a great month for me for reading because I had the Disney Channel Games readathon and school ended, so I got to spend a lot of time just enjoying some good books. I am going to just be telling you really quickly what the books are about, how I rated them, generally what I thought about them, and I'm excited to have many more good reading months in this upcoming year of 2021. I ended up reading a total of 9 books during December. I read 1 graphic novel and then 8 just, regular books. Within that, I ended up partly listening to, partly reading along with one of the books, through audiobook, and reading it during the Disney Channel Games readathon. So I'm going to start by showing you the books that I read for that. The first book that I read for the Disney Channel Games readathon was Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This was a reread for me. I read this the first time when I was, I think, 13. I remember loving it. I read it this time, really didn't love it. I gave it a 2-star, which I still think is kind of generous. Books from when you're 13 don't age well. I have a reading vlog of me reading it for the Disney Channel Games readathon. It was such a big disappointment. There's so many problematic things that come up in this book. There's so much racism in this book that is trying to be passed off as diversity, and that's why please read Own Voices authors. But yeah, this wasn't great. This story follows 2 characters named Eleanor and 1 character named Park. And they meet on a school bus. It is set in the 80s, and it is a cute little love story. It is, it's not great. There's a lot of racism, as I said before. Eleanor, I used to love when I was 13. Reading her now, I thought she was kind of insufferable and very irritating. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it only got the 1 star from me because of nostalgia. So yeah, don't reread books from when you're 13. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. The next book that I read this month was Come Closer by Sarah Gran. This was also for the Disney Channel Games readathon. This was really good. I ended up giving this 5 stars. It's very short. It is I think, it's less than 200 pages. This is a story that follows a woman who is possessed by a demon. It's a demon possession story. It's really well done, very interesting. Very quick read. I read it in 2 sittings. It's spooky, it's weird and uncomfortable, very fun if you're into thrillers, and again, it's a short little thing, so it was easy to fly through. Next book I read was NPCs by Drew Hayes. This is a RPG lit book. It basically follows a group of NPCs or non-player characters who take over a quest that a group of people playing Dungeons and Dragons were supposed to be doing. It's fun. It's a good time. The beginning and middle part of it weren't great. It didn't, to me, fully follow through with what this book was promising. But the end was fantastic. I ended up giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is also a self-published book. I do want to read the rest in this series. I believe it is a quartet. It's also pretty short. It's less than 300 pages. It was pretty easy to get through. The beginning just wasn't really my thing, but if you're into RPG lit, or if you haven't read RPG lit and you're into playing roleplay games, this was a fun little romp. It was enjoyable. The next book that I read this month was a graphic novel, and that was the volume 1 of Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. Oh my god, I loved this book so much. I ended up rating it a 4 out of 5 stars. I read it in 1 sitting. It was just precious. It follows a young man who is going to college on a hockey scholarship, and he used to be a figure skater, and it is just following his life. He is a YouTuber. It's just precious. I loved it a lot. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars, I didn't love the romance that was in the book. I just didn't feel totally connected to it. But besides that, I thought it was really enjoyable. I'm excited to pick up the 2nd volume of it just because it put a smile on my face, warmed my heart, especially after reading some darker stuff during the month. It was such a breath of fresh air, such a nice palette cleanser. Highly recommend it. The next book that I read this month was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This book was really good. I ended up rating this a 4 out of 5 stars. This follows a person who wakes up in someone's body that they do not have any like memories, and they end up every day waking up in someone else's body at this party so they can solve a murder. It was really good. It had a lot more like fantasy elements in it, like more magical elements in it than I was expecting. But I loved it. This was the book that I like both listened to and like read through while listening to audiobook, you know. It's really good. I would recommend it. I flew through it. I read it for the last day of the Disney Channel Games readathon, and I ended up reading like over 350 pages in one day on this book. So good. So well done. So entertaining. Just a fun time. The audiobook was pretty enjoyable too. I liked it. But yeah, if you're a fan of like Clue, whodunit, murder mystery type things, and Groundhog Day, I would check this out. It's a fun time. The next book that I read this month was In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This was fun. I read this right before Christmas. It follows a woman who every year goes to this cabin in Utah with her family and like their found family that they've created. And they do the holidays together, and she's like really in love with one of the boys that always goes there, and everything falls apart this Christmas. And so she goes and makes a wish to the universe to be like, hey, show me what will make me happy. And then she ends up reliving her Christmas trip over and over again. It was cute. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I've seen some people talk about how, like, honestly, the Groundhog Day element to it didn't really add anything, and I kind of agree with that. Like, I think this story would have been just as enjoyable and just as adorable if it was just a regular, like, holiday-themed love story, but I did really enjoy it. While still being on the kick of reading Christmassy romances, I ended up picking up Faking Under the Mistletoe by Ashley Shepherd. This was a cute book. It handled some darker themes than I think I had expected it to. This is about a young woman who is an intern at this company, and she loves Christmas, and she ends up getting into a fake dating situation with her boss who hates Christmas. It ends up tackling sexual harassment and sexual assault quite a bit in this book, which I wasn't planning on. There is a content warning in the beginning of the book, which I really appreciated. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be going into it. I also had a hard time with the main character. She was a little irritating to me. She came on really strong to her boss in ways that made me kind of uncomfortable, especially since the book overall was talking about sexual harassment. There were also just some things of like unprofessional power dynamics within their relationship because it was like an employee and a boss situation. But I did enjoy the book. I gave it a 3 star. It was cute. I finished it Christmas Eve, I believe. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was Christmassy. You know the vibes. Curling up, cup of tea, winter themed book. It's fun. The next book that I read was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've actually been reading this for about a month. Not because it wasn't good, but because of the Disney Channel Games readathon, I ended up like putting this down, picking it back up. It's also long. It is about 730 pages. It was a fun time. I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. The general synopsis for this, I'm not going to get too much into it. It's a high fantasy. It's a good time. It basically follows this guy named Kavoth who owns a tavern, and this chronicler comes in and is like, hey, I want to write about your life. And he's like, okay, fine, and tells his life story. At least up to him being like 16, and then it stops and there's another book. But it was fun. I have a full spoiler-free review for this on my channel that I'll link below. Overall, I enjoyed it. I think that there were points of this that were kind of slow, that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but that definitely comes down more to reader preference than how it was written. This has some of the most beautiful prose that I have ever read in a fantasy book in this. Like, Patrick Rothfuss, a wordsmith, a true wordsmith. Fantastic. I would definitely recommend checking out my spoiler-free review if you are interested in hearing more of my thoughts about this. The last book that I read this month was Pirate Latitudes by Michael Crichton. This was a fun book. This is basically set in Port Royal, Jamaica in the 1660s, and it follows a group of privateers who go on a raid of a Spanish-occupied island. It was fun. This is my first Michael Crichton book I ever wrote. This was also released after he died, which means that there were things about it that weren't great that I can't even fully blame him for because he didn't get it edited again, you know? I think it was only a second draft and then it was just like wrapped up by an editor and published. I am going to be filming a full review for this actually like right after I film this, so it should be up pretty soon. So if you're interested more in my thoughts on this, I will be sharing them. I liked it. There are some issues with it. Do I think it was a fantastic book? No. Do I think that if you're into pirates and you're like into that sort of story, you'll like this? Yeah, probably. Again, I am going to be posting a full review of this up my channel soon, so if you're interested, you can check that one out. If you're interested in seeing more videos from me, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, give this video a like. Down below I have my Goodreads linked and my Instagram, and also I run a virtual write-in every week called the Writer's Zoom on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you are interested in coming and hanging out and writing with me and some other cool people, definitely check that out. I have that Instagram link below as well for more information. But overall, I hope you are all having a very good day and a great week, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful new year, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!